episode 1, you're like, I want to have babies. I want to have families. So, like, I was, like, worried for you. I was like, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because if we don't get babies from this season, there's a woman in the Midwest who's going to be pissed.
Hello, and welcome to the Betchelor podcast. I'm Kay York City.
And I am Jared Freid. It is so exciting to do a very special episode of the Bachelor podcast. We are joined by this season's Bachelor, Grant Ellis. Grant, good to see you. How are you? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. First of all, I just want to say I'm a big fan, and I'm doing great. How you guys doing today?
Yeah, well, thank you. You listen to this show?
I listen to the show. I listen to your comedy, and you're definitely a funny guy.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I've definitely heard of it. Yeah, I'm a fan, you know?
Thank you so much. And you're here in New York. You say it's been a couple years, but you're in New York again. You used to live in New Jersey. Where do you go out in New York when you would come into the city?
Yeah, I want to know.
I'm more of a Jersey guy at heart.
Okay.
So when I did come to New York, I definitely would be in, Times Square or Manhattan, or me and my family would go to a couple comedy shows, but most of the time I was in Jersey, and now I'm in Houston, so.
What got, that was kind of a little bit of a surprise. We know you as a trader from a day trader, former professional basketball player from New Jersey. And then it was a little quiet heading into your season. And now it's the Meet Grant Ellis show. Right. And we're in Houston. And what's going on? How did that happen? How does that go down?
Yeah, well, I moved to Houston just because, honestly, the taxes are better for what I do, and there's more land, and I got tired of the cold weather in Jersey, man. It just was super cold during the winter, but who knows? I might move back here someday.
The Ferrari doesn't play well in Jersey, I guess. It needs to be down in Houston where it's a little bit warmer.
Yeah, I can't drive that in New Jersey all the time,
So, Kay brings up a good point. This is really the only question I had for you today. The Ferrari. I'm not a car guy, so I would assume anyone who drives a Ferrari loves cars. Do you love cars?
Yeah, so my dad was actually an exotic car dealer growing up. So I grew up around cars, and yeah, that was something that I I'm not like a huge car guy, but I do like cars a lot.
Was this your dream car?
It's one of my dream cars, but it definitely was something that I always wanted to drive and to purchase, and yeah, it definitely is one of my dream cars.
If I'm driving around a Ferrari, I go on a show where 25 women are after my heart. Some of it is like, oh, I have to worry about the nest egg I've created. You got some dough.
I would have flagged that. I'm going to say it right now. I would have flagged that from the beginning. The second we saw your house at the beginning of the show, I said to Jared when we recorded the recap, I was like, if I saw that now and I was a first night girl that went home, I'd be like,
right.
Well, something for me, like, it's really easy to find somebody that's after you for what you have, but it's hard to find somebody that really just rocks with you for, who you are. And I think a tested character, that's really what it's about. So there's some things that happen that I'm able to look back on the show and see some of the character of these women, and then that's who is going to be able to, whatever I come with, it's going to be us together. So, that's what I'm excited about. And yeah, I'm excited for everything to unfold.
Okay. It was something that I was like, man, this is something that maybe in another era of The Bachelor, like all we would talk about is like, the trader who's, the Gordon Gekko, Wolf of Wall Street, who is looking for his gal. And it didn't really come up in that first episode.
no.
Yeah, because listen, sometimes that's a turnoff, like I wouldn't want to be around somebody that just talks about that 24/7. I'll be like, well, what else can you do? Do you have any like substance to you other than your cars or whatever you have?
One thing that I wanted to chat about is we obviously met all the women last night and love them right off the bat. I feel like there's such a good energy there. I do think there's like tremors of we're not getting to know a lot of the women as well as we think we're going to know them later. But one thing that Jared and I were talking about when we were breaking down the women and their bios was all of their names and the spelling of their names and how I've seen a lot of interesting names in my life, obviously, but we were going through these names in these lists and we're getting the last names as well. But some of these names have like I's and like I think it's Kaylee is spelled Kayleigh. All of these names are very well thought. My question is, I know you're a big family guy, and we want kids. Are we going to be diving into some names? Have you been thinking of some names for kids? Is this a topic?
Listen, that is really early. You know what I'm saying?
Is
That's
it?
really
Because
early.
we heard a lot about kids.
You were
episode.
talking a
Yeah,
lot
like,
about
oh my God.
kids.
It's
Grant.
definitely something in my future. But, before I start thinking of kids' names, first I want to make sure that, I'm in a relationship that's going to really last. And, we got to put in the groundwork first. And then we can start talking about kids, So that's a little bit down the road.
Is there anything you would have done differently this season?
Listen, I know this is going to sound really corny, but I don't think there's only mistakes. I think there's lessons, and I'm not saying that I did things wrong. I think that everything that I did through the season had a purpose to it, and I wouldn't change anything, honestly. I would, if I were to go back, I would probably double down.
Okay. That's a good, I feel comfortable with that.
Kay brings up a good point about the babies and stuff. Like, you're episode 1, you're like, I want to have babies, I want to have families. So, like, you're kind of, like, setting up the audience. I was, like, worried for you. I was like, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because if we don't get babies from this season, there's a woman in the Midwest who's going to be pissed.
Crushed.
Well, no, really,
Reddit will go wild.
Oh, Reddit is a crazy
The
platform.
dark web.
But anyway, yeah, that's something I do want in my future. It's something that I really look forward to. I feel like I'm in a position where I'm able to do that. But it takes time. It's something that, you're not just going to rush into that because that's a really, really big decision, a big commitment. And, yeah, it takes time, and nobody knows the future. So we'll see what happens.
Do you have any anxiety about the social media of it all? Like, we right now currently Matt James and Rachel Kirkconnell going through a breakup. It happens, as anyone goes through a breakup, and then they do it a certain way and it becomes a news story. Do you look at that and go, man, what the am I signing up for?
It doesn't worry me. I think that everything happens. Everything that happens, there's things that lead up to it. So whatever happened in that situation, there were precursors that led up to it. And with me and my season, I know the way that, I carry myself, and, I'm really intentional, and, I'm not going to move too fast. But
we saw at the end of the episode where you were like, it's the final 5 minutes, and Jesse's like, you have to pick somebody.
And I'm like shitting bricks. I'm like, what the fuck? No, seriously, I think, because honestly, the women were so great that I had a hard time sending people home. I was developing relationships, and it's hard when you care about people to be like, to just break up, and on a short notice like that. So that definitely happens. But I'm really happy with the way things turned out.
Jared and I were talking about how during the first episode and the first impression rose, we didn't know who you were going to give the first impression rose to. Like, obviously, Alexe made sense, but I'm usually pretty good at spotting this out. So is Jared, about like, oh, this is who is going to win the night. But it seemed like you liked so many of the women, which obviously is a great problem to have, that it really kept me on my toes with picking Alexe. So what was the real deciding factor of Alexe?
I just think we had a great conversation. She's funny. I think the chemistry was there. We were cracking jokes, and I think that, she's somebody who I had fun with. And not to say that I didn't have fun with all the women, because I did, but that was something that stood out to me. And then, she brought a llama on the show, and I was like, I love animals, and I'm like, that was cool.
Was that your favorite entrance? What was your favorite entrance, like non-biased of who you liked the best, but what was your favorite entrance overall?
That was my favorite entrance. That was my favorite entrance.
I mean, to tote around an animal the whole night, that takes a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That takes a lot of guts,
Yeah.
right? She's definitely, and it takes a certain personality, so I like that.
So your dad is here in New York City with you?
Yeah, he actually is in New Jersey, but he's coming on Sunday. I haven't seen him in a while, so he's gonna come. We're probably gonna hang out, probably take him, get a couple coats, and then we're going to the comedy show.
Yeah,
some
well,
coats.
your dad, it was so awesome to see how much he it feels like your dad is in awe of you.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the relationship that he's just he's your biggest fan? Because that's how it kind of showed in the first episode.
Yeah, something, me and my dad had a point in our lives where we didn't get along, because of certain things that happened, and we really didn't get along. But seeing him on his path, and his recovery path, man, it inspires me and I think he's inspired by what's going on with me. So it's like kind of like a dual thing. You know, I'm in awe of him a lot of times and the strength that he's showing, and I hope that he continues just to continue to grow.
That's great. Yeah, I loved seeing the relationship between your dad. I also loved your family in general. I met your sister at there's no way she'll remember, I don't think, but at a party in LA. I was with Hakeem, and it was Hakeem and your sister, and we were at this party, and she was super nice, very tall. But it was just it felt like a spoiler when I saw the episode and we saw this girl walk in. I was like, damn it, I know who that is. I was like, I didn't want to know who that was.
Her and sweet baby Hakeem, right?
Yeah.
Sweet baby Hakeem. You know
Love
it.
him.
That's my boy. I love Hakeem.
He's the nicest guy ever.
My sister's everywhere. She's in Paris right now. She's just living life. So I'm like, she needs to come back when the premiere starts.
What does your sister do? Because that was a big thing where I was like, I was actually amazed at how great she's your sister. She has, and suddenly she's hosting a primetime show on ABC, like on the episode. Like that's and doing a great job at it. So what is her background? Like, what does she do that she was so ready to be on camera?
She's a model. She models.
Okay.
She's been doing that for like the last 7 years. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, she's a model, and she crushed it. So I was excited. I was like, damn. When she was
the girls were jumping out of their skin when they saw her walk in. It was crazy.
That was funny. That was definitely funny. She tried to come in there on some different type of energy, and she did.
She did.
And she definitely did, because every one of the women were like scared out of their minds.
I think that was the goal, and then to break the ice, and then she started embarrassing me, so that was funny, right?
Yeah, that's so interesting. The model makes sense because she walked in like a catwalk, and everyone kind of like was like put on notice, and like, who's this hot chick walking in? She played it perfectly. I couldn't believe like you're just someone's sister, and then suddenly you're like doing a fantastic job hosting a show.
Yes, because we see a lot of siblings come on the show, and they're not all ready to be on the show. If that makes sense.
It's a lot. But she crushed it. She definitely crushed it.
Okay, well, we got to get going. Grant, we are excited about your season. We loved the first episode. It was a fun watch. We're excited to see the drama, the tears, the fun. And we're pumped to just have you on The Bachelor and getting to know you a little bit. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
And hopefully we will see you again at the end of the season with the lucky lady. Cannot wait to see how this plays out. So we'll check back at the end with you and see how everything goes.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
The Bachelor podcast is produced and edited by Jazz Zapatos. Social media by Candice Maniga and Samantha Bush. Guest booking by Shanice Kellman. Be sure to follow The Bachelor at @AlwaysOn.